The one where Rachel has a baby, part 2, is the 24th and final episode of the 8th season of Friends. This is directed by Kevin Bright, and as always there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode chronologically and share some thoughts. And of course this follows on from the previous episode. As we know, Rachel is in hospital about to have a baby. We also have Janice there. Monica and Chandler are trying to make a baby, and Phoebe is talking with Clifford. And I'll wrap that up very briefly, and then the rest of it I'll go through chronologically. Clifford he has the TV on in the room, and up pops Dr. Drake Ramore, and he realises that was the doctor in his room, and then Joey bursts in to say Rachel's having her baby, and of course he realises what has happened, and Joey tries to big up Phoebe by listing some fun, interesting qualities about her, but they kind of just make her seem a little bit more unhinged. And honestly, it was not a bad part of the episode. I think Phoebe and Clifford could get along really well. The rest of it focuses on Rachel, and she has the baby, and it's really, really emotional. I know we've had babies on the show before, but there's something about this one that just seemed... I guess it's because they're like our family. When you've watched Friends a lot for a long time, the characters feel like family, and to see them all going through this it's really beautiful. And Ross gets to decide on the name, and he initially suggests Isabella, which honestly all I can think about is the scene between Ross and Isabella Rossellini, so I don't think that would have been a good idea, but I do like the name. And then he suggests Delilah. I had a cat called Delilah, so I wonder if that's why. No, I doubt it. I doubt that's why I don't know why I called my cat Delilah. And then Monica shares the baby names that she'd picked out, and they name her Emma. And now I can say her name. It's been so difficult talking about this without giving the name away. And obviously now we have another cast member. We have Emma. And in this particular episode, Emma is actually played by Bryce and Preston Greene, which I thought was a rather sweet coincidence with the name there. And she's actually Emma Geller Greene. And then Janice brings in her baby, and she basically tells Rachel that she's on her own now, which sounds nasty. Janice didn't necessarily mean it to be nasty. She was basically saying, look, you need to realise this is going to be difficult, you're on your own, don't have any false hope for what things could be like, you need to face reality, which even as I'm saying that sounds harsh. I don't think Janice meant it to be nasty. I think she was trying to help Rachel by helping her see reality. But I also just don't agree with it, because she's absolutely not raising Emma on her own in the slightest. And then there's a moment between Ross and Rachel happens to mention the kiss they had before in the previous episode, or maybe the episode before that now, and she thought maybe it could be the beginning of something. And Ross said they had to be careful. And those few moments were just such a roller coaster. And then Ross said the most amazing thing. And it's amazing, but it's also, I think, something we should expect from Ross, from a father. But it's also beautiful because he's looking through the window at baby Emma with Phoebe. And Phoebe is still asking him, why aren't you with Rachel? And he pointed out that he can't do that to Emma, because they were always on again, off again. And what if they're on again and it doesn't work out? And he can't put Emma through the turmoil of arguing parents, potentially divorcing parents if they were to get married. It's so beautiful and so incredibly selfless. And as I said, that's what we should expect from a parent. But at the same time, it was just so beautiful and probably the best thing Ross has ever said. And then Phoebe said to him, or you could get everything you wanted since you were 15. And we very briefly leave that there. And Joey is speaking with Rachel, and Rachel asks him to get something from the other side of the room, and he knocks Ross's jacket over. And the ring falls out when Judy gave Ross the ring in the previous episode. And the ring falls out. Joey picks up the box, opens it, of course. And Rachel gets his attention, and he turns around. Obviously, he's down on the ground on his knee, holding this open ring box in front of him. And Rachel says, okay. And then we see Ross presumably heading towards the room. And it's it's quite dramatic. It would have been more dramatic if Ross had walked in at that point. I'm not saying they should have done that, but I think that could have been a little bit more dramatic. And, well, we end with Monica and Chandler still trying to make a baby, which helped lift the comedy back up. But that was, well, it's quite a way to end a season. Not for the first time. Friends has ended a season where I would be desperate to find out what happens next. I know what happens next, of course, but it's pretty gripping. I think they did a really good job of leaving it on a very questionable note, and it's a beautiful way to end the season. It's nice to have Emma here, and obviously it's quite an emotional episode, a very emotional episode as well, because it is like having a seventh main cast member in a way, because obviously Ben doesn't live with Ross, and obviously when Phoebe had her triplets, we barely see them anymore. So actually having the baby who's going to be with Rachel or Ross 24/7, it's like having a seventh main cast member in a way. So definitely a beautiful episode, a very emotional episode, and ultimately a great end to season 8 of Friends.